Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Oh, yeah, here comes Paige. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about how big is the opportunity in digital identity. I'm going to pass you my mic, Paige.
There's a phrase my dad used to have in our house: I must hurry to catch up with the others, for I am their leader. Anyway, I'm not the leader today, but I'm the moderator, so welcome to the panel. Yeah, why don't we start? Just say who you are and just maybe 1 minute on what brought you here, and then we'll go ahead and give you maybe a follow-up time to talk 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll do questions, and I'll throw some questions at you.
Awesome sauce. Well, for those who I didn't get a chance to meet yet, my name is Marcus Andrews, aka WenAirDrop. I own a platform called IHeartDomains, which is an educational marketing platform for Web3 digital identity. I am a subject matter expert in the subject of Web3 domains. I belong to virtually every community and have been collecting names and learning about them and connecting with both builders and people who want to enter into this ecosystem for the past 2 years.
Fantastic. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, thanks everyone. I'm Chris Barger, aka bama.eth. So I got into space roughly 2.5 years ago, primarily on Web3. Founded Integris.xyz. We actually launched yesterday, but domain, I came into the space primarily as an investor and noticed a void that needed to be filled. So primarily going to be focused on marketing, brokerage, and onboarding the masses into Web3.
Man, that's awesome. Marketing, brokerage, onboarding the masses into Web3. Fantastic. I'm in on all three. Welcome, Anna.
My name is Lost by Anna. I'm an attorney and domain investor, I could say. I got into this, the crypto space around the March 2020 crash. So it's been a couple years.
Got it in the March 2020 crash.
Yeah.
Did you get in after the crash or before the crash?
Right after.
Right after. Okay, well there you go. That's the best time to probably get in. When it comes to crashes, then you want to have the story before or after. Well, welcome. Marcus, you're in all kinds of domains, all kinds of Web3 domains. I want to spring a new question on you. To be in something kind of early and to gather this much knowledge, did you just pick Web3 domains, or were there other stuff before that maybe didn't work out, or do you have to kind of kiss a lot of princes and then you got this one? Or do you think this one by itself was the one that really grabbed you?
Yeah, so my domain bug actually came strictly from Web3, and even most of the investing that I do in the Web2 space is somehow connected to Web3 domains, or either Web3 related domains or they're domains that I think will work well for digital identity and being tokenized. So from kind of the start, I would say I saw the big picture and the potential for digital identity and was hooked on it, not only personally.
And how do you define digital identity? And I'll ask the other two both, and that'll be our basic question, but what do you think in 30 seconds you mean by digital identity?
It's your footprint, so the way people find you and then what they see when they find you, that's your digital identity. Most of us use either websites on the commercial level or use a social media handle. Web3, what that now does is we start to add ownership into that equation, so that now if you're building your reputation and your future on something, you can actually own it instead of being, something that's essentially just being assigned and given to you with rules.
Chris, digital identity can replace it. I know you as Bama. You know what I mean? I really do. I mean, I would see you and I would say Bama, or something like that. So how do you kind of define digital identity? And then talk us through kind of your introduction and what you've been doing with digital identity.
Yeah, funny story. So I was in Twitter Spaces as Bama, and everybody's like, we're speaking with Chris, and I was like in the listener, and I was like, that's me, yeah, because everyone knows me as Bama, but no. So I kind of have a different path coming into Web3. I wouldn't consider myself an investor in Web2 domains. I'm in automotive, and I noticed in automotive at the level, I handle all marketing for the store and run the operations, and I noticed what brought me into blockchain in general was security protocols, because I see the way data is used in its current nature, and it's almost like internet warfare. There's no privacy, you know what I mean? So that's what got me into blockchain was, I would say, security protocols. Well, then I ran across blockchain domains, and it totally clicked with me, because I connected the two, and the digital identity as opposed to like businesses, et cetera, like it's going to be a mass onboarding of wallets, and you're going to want to have a human identifier similar to like an IP address to replace that. So that's what got me into the space, and kind of, yeah, I came in as an investor. Obviously, I'm a member of Andina with Ron, and I'm broad spectrum on domain names. Like I looked at my personal thesis as I would want to be 20% right and 100% wrong. So I hedged across the entirety of Web3, but that's kind of what led me to Integris. I sat back and noticed there's very bright minds in this space, and everyone's focused on building this space, moves so quickly. But I know there's a lot of technical jargon in this space, and there's a lot of people that we all see are interested in coming into Web3 and have questions. What is Web3? And want to ask those questions, and we want to onboard in a simplified way to bring them into the ecosystem, get them a wallet set up. And digital identity to me is probably a username is decentralized where you control your data, and it's going to go, I see this going into the next bull run with gaming being a highlight, and like where you can literally, you own your assets and you can take these across different games, and your username could be your, whether it's Unstoppable or .eth, et cetera, and you can take it across platforms, like multi-platform. So that's kind of my big vision that I've seen with everything across the naming space for Web3.
I love it. I think, as you say, cross-platform, we've got to get there. And then you have some people that are just getting on board, and you got other people where you're talking about the next stage and everything. And I had an enjoyable time in your space. Talk about your path into Web3 domains and what you've been doing and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I think digital identity is actually so interesting, right? Because I was thinking about this, and everybody that's under 30, their identity online is more important to them than their identity in real life almost, right? Even under 40, because like all of us are on Twitter all the time, and we're constantly updating ourselves online, and it's almost easier to talk to people online about things that you really care about, like community you guys were talking about. So I feel like digital identity is going to be so important in the next 5 to 10 years, because and there's a lot of content creators as well, right? The creator economy. So I feel like digital identity is going to be huge in the next 5 to 10 years, and a lot of people talk about digital identity as empowerment. And content creators, that's what they want to do. My favorite, is it not working? Okay. My favorite content creator is Drea.eth, right? She built her entire brand around the .eth domain. We do spaces together, and she just started. Drea, Dr. Drea, is that how she spells it, but it's Drea. And yeah, she built her entire brand around this, and she's anonymous. That's one thing about Web3 identities. They prefer to be anonymous. And actually, an interesting thing, I asked ChatGPT, I was like, how can I explain this to a 6th grader? And it said, it's your superhero identity. And I thought that was so interesting, because that makes sense to a 6th grader. You're not going to give your personal information, your address, or anything like that. You're creating this identity, and then like Bana was talking about, let's say you're in a game. Now you're using your superhero identity to interact with the gamers. Let's say you're chatting with your friends, like that's your digital identity. So I think that's what makes Web3 and digital identities like so interesting.
Fantastic. And so mostly your group and your space, you're talking about ENS names, meaning .eth names.
Yes,
That would be kind of where you've got your community and stuff. And I think, just to take an overview, I think .eth names are the place where there is probably the most liquidity and the most bragging rights and the most meaning. I mean, it means something to certain communities to have the .eth, and that means to enough people where there's liquidity, the markets are cornered, the best names are taken, and that's probably the one of the Web3 space that's probably claimed, that pinnacle in regard to that. I know there's other ones. There's Unstoppable, there's Handshake, there's Free Name, and things like that. Chris, you said you tried a couple of them. I think you're doing mostly ENS now. How was your experience with anything else you tried, and then how are you doing with ENS?
So with me currently, I'm not looking to sell. I'm just in acquisition mode. So when I came into this space, I came into it long. I fully understood what I was getting myself into, an emerging technology that could take several years to pan out. So I just went into multiple TLDs, and fortunately I came in. Anna, you said you got in after the crash. I got into this as the crash was happening. So I went all the way down and have just stayed, and DCA the full time, but fortunately there was a lot of available names. So one thing, I tried to stay away from uncharted territory. So part of my thesis, I wanted to stay away from like trademark names and go with generics, industries, identity domains, like nationalities, etc. So I was lucky to get across multiple TLDs, and it's just a waiting game. Like I see .eth sells, I personally haven't listed or tried to sell. I'm just in acquisition mode of flippers, you know, so because I've got a long-term vision with all of this. So yeah, I see it. It's interesting to see the communities, and like I tell you, one thing I noticed with Web3 is like the aggregation over Web3. It makes it kind of like with ENS Vision, how you can go in and see a club, and with like current DNS and .com, I don't see a whole lot of that. Which, like I said, I'm not a Web2 investor, but is there platforms like that where you can go and like get this club if you want to? But that makes it very simple for an investor coming into the Web3 domains with some of these sites that you can go into and pick a specific category if you want, like verb, etc. So yes, it's interesting to me.
Yeah, in many ways, Web2, I would say, looking over the past 20 years, the one club that's the strongest, even though it's informal, is if there was a .com Maxis club, you know what I mean, of the top, you know, 200,000 .coms or something like that. They've been the ones that they really set the pinnacle that a lot of us trade off of in many ways, you know what I mean? Because, you know, if Rick Schwartz wasn't selling names for 8 million, if other domain investors, like who are going to be here later, weren't publishing their sales, we wouldn't have those big tents. So even though I don't think they've ever called themselves a club or a tribe or a group, it would be that. But no, the technologies haven't existed, and it's been a surprise. Marcus, I think you're in a number of different, talk through your journey about the different platforms you've been on and which one is working for you.
Yeah, well, so on the Web3 side, I think most people, well, I wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people that belong to these communities, these tribes, you know, they join the space via that community's TLD, and that's, you know, that's the power of these communities. The ENS community is undoubtedly an extremely strong community, the Unstoppable community, etc. Not only have I interacted in this space in that same way, I've also found the opportunity with certain other platforms that exist, such as Freename, who's here today, DecentraWeb, and also Handshake, that allow proprietors to, you know, own those assets, the TLD asset on the Web3 side, and create those communities for yourself. So yeah, I've experimented and still continuously building that out and building that value, obviously tied to education and offering value to members who met my TLD, you know, by way of alpha, airdrops, all that good stuff. But yeah, that being a part of building and managing a community and even being a part of managing a TLD, it's a completely different responsibility, and it makes you look at the space in a completely different way, because now you're not holding something, you're not speculating on something. It's not about how cool something is. Like, you're now starting to think of not only how do I onboard people, but how do I make everything about this make sense? And it makes you have to deep dive into the technology and into the possible utility and implications of this. Like, it really makes you have to become a dreamer in order to recommunicate that vision to other people. So my experience has taken me all over the place.
Yeah, and I think each one does have a community. Some tips I've picked up over the years, when I first started buying Unstoppable names, I did get some of my better.com names, just in some of the extensions. I got my phone number. You know, I think that, you know, I think there's gonna be interesting applications in the future around phone, data, internet, and everything. And if you think about, a lot of times the platforms will have premium pricing. A lot of times, what is that, 3, 7, 10 number name is not premium. You know, I mean, it's pretty inexpensive to kind of grab your phone number and do things like that. I know each of the groups has the communities, and you guys have your talks. I think ENS is more of a, even though there's a DAO with the community, I'd say to strengthen it is the members. With Freename, I know I've been in the VIP club with you and different things, which is a chance to give feedback back to the platform provider. And I know Unstoppable's had that for a long time, but talk about how you've been able to participate in the VIP club or the premium TLD owners club, and how giving that feedback has helped maybe even chart the course of some of the things that they've done.
Well, yeah, and so I'm going to talk about that, but also in the bigger picture that speaks to the opportunity that exists in our space, right? I'm proud to be here with a lot of people who are part of shaping, you know, the Web2 domain industry. But that's an industry that's really not accessible to me outside of being, you know, the guy that goes on the domain registrar and hand registers and thinks he's gonna make $1 million. Outside of that, like I'm not changing, I'm not influencing anything in this space. And that's an opportunity that currently exists because we are so new in the Web3 domain space, because it's so speculative, because the people who are building these platforms and these communities are so accessible. Like we've got Matt here right now. And with that being said, you know, being in the VIP community, which is an amazing initiative that was set up by Freename, they actually set up a community where they take direction, share, you know, goals and plans and things like that for, you know, what they're planning to do next as far as scaling and growing the company. And it's almost like we're building it together and shaping it together. And I think that's probably a testament to why that platform has grown so fast, because you're building what people want to see. And that's important, is that all of us here, you know, with all the platforms that we're involved with, we all have that opportunity, you know, to shape the type of experience that we think that we're going to want to see in Web3.
Fantastic. Now I know with ENS, you have the DAO and you have the grants and things like that. Could you talk about how the relationship between maybe what we call in Web 2, the registrants, with the, it isn't really the registry operator, but the entity, and I'm not exactly sure how it's all structured, but I'd go to either Anna or Chris on that one, or both.
You talking in relation to the ENS grants?
Yeah, and the DAO is really the operator of ENS, or how would I characterize the
formalities? I probably wouldn't be the right one to ask, but I know, like, one thing I noticed with ENS is the startups that you can literally go in and apply, and then the communities can go in that hold the ENS tokens, and you can go in and vote to actually secure funding for these entities. So that's awesome. That's awesome to see that they reach out to communities that are trying to further the space, and you actually have a voice, and you can go in and vote for you holding these ENS tokens. Yeah, that's interesting. Some technicalities, I may not be the best one, but if iHeart or Anna knows.
I think they're open to innovation, they're open to supportive, you know, innovation things. Anna, as an attorney, did that make it easier or harder to get into this crazy world of Web3? Was it more like, oh man, I really need to understand it all, or did you just jump in, or how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I was a DGen, I can't lie. I started.
What is DGen? Because we're in a mixed group here, and I'm not sure I know what it means. So.
It's someone who buys Richard1234.eth and expects to get like 10 ETH for it. It's basically just blindly going in there and just, you know, buying whatever somebody's shilling. So, I mean, I started with Bitcoin and then went into Ethereum and then eventually ENS domains. But yeah, I did not really think about it at all. I just, whatever the trend was, I was just buying the trend, hoping to, you know, sell it for $1 million, which is what every DGen thinks is going to happen, right? But the reality is, of course, it's very different.
Oh, there's no one doing that in the Web 2 space. Ha ha, LOL, or something like that. I have to get good at my things. Alrighty, well, if we talk about the future of domains, which I know is what Itch talked about, Anna, what do you think maybe the future of Web3 domains is? You can pick a time period of a month or 6 months or a year, and then I'll go to Chris, and then we'll probably finish up and do questions. But what do you think the future of domains and the future of Web3 domains?
Yeah, so the first primary use case for a Web3 domain is the wallet address, right? I believe it's 42 characters, your address, and who wants to do that? Why would you put in a 42 character address, you know, copy, paste it, you might get it wrong, you might send it to the wrong address, and then, you know, you just lost so much money. It doesn't make any sense. So coming from somebody who is passionate about ENS domains, it just makes sense to have a .eth domain, and if you believe crypto is not going anywhere, you know these wallet addresses are going to be just a necessary part of the future. So this isn't going to go anywhere, and then to add to that, the digital identity component, you know, you have your wallet address, but then you also have your username and your digital identity, and then you were talking about websites yesterday. There is now a Chrome extension that allows you, it takes 5 seconds, and it allows you to be able to have, you know, sued.eth, you can type it in and it'll show up in your browser. So you do have that option now. It's not the best option, but it's a good option. Like you were saying, if the content is good, people are gonna wanna use it, right? So I think there's a very bright future for blockchain domains for sure.
Fantastic, thank you. Chris, what do you think? Pick a time period and give us what you think the future of Web3 domains.
Man, I would say maybe next 3 years. I think digital identity is going to be part of the next boom with the cycle of crypto. But I think gaming is going to be a huge aspect, and just like some of the implications. I know Unstoppable has a route like we sign in with Ethereum. You can log in, like say some of these like shopping, gaming, any of this, and just be able to log in, own your identity, be able to transact straight from your wallet. I think gaming. I'm bullish on gaming. I just see it almost being implemented now, and I think it's all going to converge. But yeah, I think especially AI. I think AI is going to exponentiate Web3 as well. So it's crazy. Like whenever I came in, I was researching future technologies. Because like I said, I wasn't from the DNS side, and AI, everything was like 25 to 27, and so I registered like a ton of AI-related domains, and here 2023 is starting to surface in a big way. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be part of driving Web3 as well. So yeah, I think gaming next cycle, if I had to pick one, place my chips on one area, I think gaming is going to be part of the next cycle.
Fantastic. Marcus, or should I say the Marcus bot, but go ahead. Give me 20 seconds on the IHeartDomains bot, and then give me your prediction of where you think something's going. Just 20 seconds to tell the people about the bot, because I think it's amazing.
If you want to know anything about Web3 domain investing, or even how it correlates with Web2 domain investing, and want a non-biased opinion, you can ask my bot.
So he's basically done a specialized chat AI integration where he fed in Web3 domains knowledge, and it's pretty cool. He can't say it, but I can, so it's pretty cool. All right, on the future of domains, the future of Web3 domains, what do you think?
Yeah, I could spend a whole year talking about this, and I actually have for the past year on Tech Talk. But to keep it super simple, because we could go down a bunch of rabbit holes. Same thing that Anna had alluded to about, the wallet addresses. Crypto, blockchain, wallet, all this is just one big ledger, one big database. The more people start to adopt that, wherever that goes is where naming will go. I think I was having a couple conversations yesterday, and the use case for naming goes far beyond personal, right? We're used to a thing or a person needing to be named, a business needing to be named, and that's how we interact with Web2 domains. But on Web3 space, anything that needs to be indexed, anything that needs to be tracked, or anything that is placed on that ledger and has its unique wallet address will have an opportunity for a name. And that's, in essence, that kind of sets the market for the space. Beyond that, whatever utility, continues to be built by people who are building on the blockchain, the more utility that people are building for wallets, for what they're able to do, how you're able to interact with them, the single sign-ins and all that, naming comes with it. The technology is built on the blockchain side, the name is just resolving to it. So the opportunity for naming really is the opportunity for blockchain. They're tied hand in hand. If you think Web3 is a revolution, then naming's going with it.
Fantastic. Well, I'll finish this up, and I'll ask myself the same question. I think the thing that's kept me engaged in Web3 domains is this concept of digital non-internet and digital non-ICANN. Those worlds have grown bigger than what the domain name system was able to regulate and support. And if you think about blockchain and NFTs and all that, that all happened without our big silos of Google and Amazon, okay? And that all happened, you talk about decentralized, that happened and took over without Google or Amazon. And that's pretty good. So I think there's a world of non-digital, non-internet that naming can still play a role in. And when new use cases come up like gaming or different things that we don't even know, there's going to be a race to get into those. And the thing about a blockchain domain is it only exists digitally. You don't always have to deal with the fact that it's paired with a real world asset, an actual domain name. So they may be more faster and more responsive to stuff because there's less, their arms aren't tied behind their back. So I think we'll see new uses come, and I think that's what I see the future of Web3 domains. I'm still a Web2 maximalist. 99% of my net worth is in the ICANN system. I like the public internet, but I can't really, I've got to understand something to be in it. So I've really enjoyed the journey of learning about the major providers and appreciate you guys on stage with me today. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Paige, and you've been an inspiration to me. Obviously, you're inspiration to a lot of others, so honored to have you moderate the space. One important thing I just want to leave everybody with is everything that we're saying is foreign because the space requires and needs a lot of education. All of us up here commend us all because we're all people who provide a lot of education. So anybody that has any questions about the Web3 space, wants to understand it anymore, understand, kind of what we think, on a personal level, digital identity to go. I welcome that personally, and I feel like everybody on the stage would as well.
Fantastic. Anna, and when are your guys' spaces? And then I'll let you spend like 20 seconds on Incongruous. Is that just your parent brand?
Integris?
Integris, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's Integris, that's integris.xyz. And then when are your spaces, or when can people hear the education you're providing in the home?
Thursday, 6 Eastern on Twitter.
Say it again?
Thursday, 6 Eastern on Twitter.
Thursday,
6
6 Eastern on Twitter, okay? And Bama?
Yeah, and I enjoy Andrea Spaces also, so I always make sure to attend. But yeah, it's funny, on a leaving note for me, I would say, like you say, the convergence of Web3 domains without Google and Amazon. I think it's partial that the rise of those were because of the Googles and Amazons and the data capture of everything and the centralization. So yeah, that's an interesting aspect without all those huge entities controlling all of the data. I know it was a big part for me because like data is what led me to Web3. Like through my job, I was like, this can't continue. You know what I mean? How you can just target with data. But yeah, no, Integris, we launched yesterday. Site's going to be continuously improved. We won't be doing spaces, probably up to Anna and the gang and some of the others. I know iHeart holds a lot of spaces, but we're primarily going to be focused on Web2, trying to educate, onboard people, wallet. Big thing, security. We want to touch on like, hey, don't screenshot your seed phrase, et cetera. And so it's going to be focused with security. But yeah, appreciate you, man. I always enjoy listening to you.
Ish, are we wrapping up, or how are we doing on time? All right, so I got one more thing I want to share because you guys prompted me to do it. Yesterday, the woman from Unstoppable, and I'm sorry I didn't catch her name, the one with all the patents, if that's okay to say.
That would be Lisa.
What's that?
That would be Lisa.
There you go. She talked about this idea of your wallet, and what really struck me over the last couple days as I've been working with wallets, I started buying some more ENS names, things like that, is I control the data in my wallet. And a website or a platform or somebody can reach out to me with all their arms, with all their questions, with everything they want to reach out to me and interact with me on. But I control what they're allowed to interact with me on. You know what I mean? I control whether they can, with the whole idea of token gating, and if they do, what can be shared back and forth, and I control the off switch. And for me, that decentralized way where I control the data, because I now have a way to do it, gives me some empowerment. And so that's what I think of when I think of Web3 domains. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Paige. Good glasses.